program. Grayson County and Carroll County jointly operate our recovery report program. Our day reporting director, Miss Novak, is also our Twin County Recovery Report Program Director. And all of our participants, whether they be from Carroll or Grayson, participate through our day reporting program. So Carroll County folks come here every Wednesday night and they participate in our day reporting program. We provide intense supervision, essentially 24 hours a day supervision for 18 months. These individuals are given about every resource to address their substance abuse problems that we can pour into them. No cost to them, other than the costs, their court costs, and there are some costs associated with the participation in the program. What this translates to benefit to the county from a financial, in a financial perspective is, and we ran these numbers just for fiscal year 22. So in the day reporting program and the drug court and Twin County Recovery Report Program, all told, we have saved 6,535 days of incarceration at the per diem rate that the regional jail charges now. That's $28.65 a day. That translates to $187,227.75 saved to the county. That would otherwise be spent housing individuals. With respect to community service hours worked, just in day reporting, just in Twin County Recovery Report participants, we have provided what I would consider a cost benefit to the county, or you could also look at it as a financial benefit to the county, at an average rate of $9.50 per hour. There have been a total of 1,030 hours worked in the county, which translates to $9,785. That's just for our Twin County Recovery Report participants. For our day report clients, at $7.25 an hour, we have, that would translate to $31,044 in savings to the county. And our day reporting program also is the agency that monitors what we call our first offenders. Those individuals who have never had a conviction relative to the possession of controlled substances are eligible pursuant to Code of Virginia to participate in a 12-month program that is geared towards first offenders. They also have to perform 100 hours of community service. They're also run through our day reporting center. They have performed 581 hours of community service in 22, which translates to at $9.50 an hour, $5,911. As a financial benefit, I know that sometimes those numbers are interesting to the county, and as they should be. The more important benefit we provide, though, is getting folks healthy and clean and sober. And those benefits can't be really calculated or quantified on pieces of paper. Those are quantified in the homes of families that we have in our county. So the reason I'm here is to ask the board to consider giving us this $9,000. What we will use those funds for are quite simply supplies. Drug tests that we use are expensive. We have in our budget for our day reporting program, Ms. Nestor presented you with her budget that was approved. She's now moved on. Like I said, Ms. Novak is now our coordinator. What was budgeted for her to be able to drug test the participants amounts to her ability only to drug test a participant roughly 1 time per month. That's highly inadequate. These are folks who need to be held accountable, so they need to be drug tested much more frequently than just 1 time per month. We would use these funds for, sometimes we have folks in our recovery report program who become in need of emergency housing. They have unstable housing, and we would like to be able to have set aside a pocket of money where we could pay someone's first and last month's rent. put them in a hotel. We would also like to have the ability, a lot of our folks, all of our folks have limited health insurance resources. If we encounter someone who is would require maybe more intensive rehabilitative services than what we can provide, we can refer them to an inpatient substance abuse program, whether that be 30 days, 90 days, or longer. We cannot help them to financially pay for it. So if they don't have health insurance or they're not covered by Medicaid, that cost is really up to them, and it's very difficult for those folks to find those resources. So these are monies that we would use not to supplement a salary, not to go into anything other than pouring resources into our participants. The recovery court is comprised of myself, the Commonwealth's attorney in Carroll County, the presiding judges of both Grayson County and Carroll County, and our coordinator, and also team members that consist of counselors from various local agencies. None of us are paid additional monies for our participation in the recovery court. It is something we do of our own time and our own effort. So these monies that we're asking you to consider providing to us are, again, they will not be going to anything other than funneling resources into our participants. I've been on the recovery board now for 3 years. It's been in existence for, I believe, 5 or 6. We have just recently graduated 6 participants, and these are people who came into the recovery court. Gets in essentially either get clean, get sober, or prison. We have graduated 6 healthy, sober, functioning, highly functioning members of the Twin Counties. We are now turning around and serving, some of them serving as mentors for our folks who are in our program. I view this as an investment. It's not money that is coming out of the taxpayer's pocket. This is money that the federal government, through a settlement with pharmaceutical companies, $9,000 is our portion. This is what we get based on our population. We will be asking this same exact request from the Carroll County Board of Supervisors. We make the same request from the City of Galax City Councils. Carroll County's portion is higher than what Grayson County gets based on population. The City of Galax is smaller. $9,000 is, might not seem in terms of a pot of money, it's a lot of money, but our program could use this very, very dearly. Use it very positively. Great benefit to our program and our participants. Question.
I just have a question. The Twin County Recovery Court, you said you'll provide 24-hour supervision. How does that work?
They install an app on their telephone. Ms. Novak has the ability to see where they are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are required to in their location. They have to be at home. Because they are all under a curfew. They have to be at home at a certain time each night, unless they're given specific permission to not do. They share their location with her at a moment's notice each time, 24 hours a day.
Are they given a phone if they don't have one, or how?
Well, we have provided phones for those folks who don't have them. Those folks, but we had, in fact, just this week, we had to provide a young man who could not afford to pay his cell phone bill. We issued our program coordinator out of monies that he had been able to save and donate it to provide them with someone.
So you're asking for the 9,000 whatever. You said, how would you divide that between the two programs? Is that up to your all's discretion, or did it go into the general fund? How does that 9,000 get used between the two programs?
That would essentially be, I believe, up to the board. We would, money could be transferred to the day report budget, which is controlled by the county. And whatever portion of it is warranted. And then the remainder would go, or if a transfer would simply be made to the county recovery report, we have an operating budget as well. Transfer to either both or one. But we do believe, I do believe that both of these programs are of benefit to the county.
From the benefit directly to Grayson, though, does day report tend to serve more folks that are from Grayson than the other programs? Sounds like they're both good programs. I know the day report is.
Yeah, so day report's 100% Grayson County.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only folks we put in our day reporting program are folks who come through Grayson County Court.
Is that where the need is? I mean, the 9,000, is that where the need is? Is the day report?
I would say that both programs are of equal importance and equal need. So your day reporting program participants might not have as severe of a substance abuse issue or problem that we're pinpointing as your recovery court. Your recovery court participant is someone is a participant who is, like I said, at really the last step before long-term incarceration. They've had multiple interactions with the court system. They have had many times multiple felony convictions, but they demonstrate a need that their situation is based primarily on an addiction to narcotics that cannot be overcome on their own. So that's our target. That's our target defendant that we're looking for when we look for our recovery court participant. They cannot have any type of violent conviction on their record. So we're not serving folks who are out, who are or who have been committing violent crimes. That is a barrier, and that barrier exists in the code. This program was developed by the General Assembly. Okay, so there are parameters we have to follow as to who can participate and who cannot. So no violent offender can ever participate in this type of program.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. As far as need goes, I mean, the need for money for purchase of supplies and things of that nature is greater for our day reporting program. But as far as money for services, money for rehabilitative services that might be more than we can provide, that would be used, I believe, more so than our recovery court program.
So go ahead.
And as far as participation goes, that varies. So like I said, we just graduated 6 of those 6. 4, I think, came from Grayson. So right now we have fewer Grayson County participants than Carroll County. But that's because we had a good amount of success over the last 18 months. We were able to graduate a good group from Grayson.
So if all the money got put into the day report program, and then later down the road you realize you need it over into the court, what's the name of the other program?
Clinton County Recovery Court.
The recovery court. Would that require you to come back and say, hey, we need to move the money over there? Or do you have the ability?
I don't know that if the entire amount would be deposited or transferred into under the day report budget. I don't know that the Clinton County Recovery Court could access those funds.
I think it would require an action on us to give it.
Sure. Right. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
How long have these payments been coming to Grayson County? This is the first one.
The opioid settlement, this will be the first. Okay. Yeah, I think it comes at the end of this month or the 1st of October. And thankfully the county opted in. I think we already have. The first payments were coming. Okay. There are some localities in some states, the state of West Virginia did not opt in to this settlement. So they aren't getting a dime. They wanted to sort of do this on their own. And their suit was dismissed on procedural grounds, so they did not get any of this money. Millions and millions and millions of dollars over the next 13 years are going to pour in almost every state in the country. We get about $9,000, like I said, every year for the next 13 years.
Mr. Ash, you got any
Yes.
questions?
No, I'm a strong supporter of the recovery court. I think this is probably the most direct strike at the heart of our drug problem that these funds could be used for. And I have seen Judge Giesler and Judge Harrell's efforts, and I think this is a worthwhile endeavor.
Okay.
Yeah, Brandon, the recovery court program right now, what's its primary funding?
We received some grant funding that we applied for. We have applied for it in years past. We do get some money from Richmond. It's very minimal. Whenever we, whenever we have an event where we, at times, we will have events for the participants to go and do some sort of social event. A lot of times that comes out of our presiding judge's pocket. Pay for these things on its own. We operate, of course, this is something that I'm not involved in funding piece of the program. But it is what I would, I guess, consider a shoestring budget. This money would go a long way to do things that we cannot do right now. We can buy drug screens, we can pay for folks to go and get more in-depth drug tests at times. What we can't do is we can't come up with $800 to drop the hat to pay somebody's first and last one's rent. We just got to pay for their out the street. Don't come up with some money, or to get someone that's living in a trap house, using slang, drug house, who needs to get out. They want to get sober. We don't have the money to give these folks. These are things that we would like to be able to do. We just can't do it right now.
Mr. Chairman. One thing I wanted to ask is, if the board so chooses, and they say, let's do a 50-50, 60-40, or maybe even 75-25, day reports 100% Grayson County. If whatever percentage they chose, that's not to say that the next year's budget, the next year's $9,000, we could come back and change that percentage. We're not locked in for 13 years with tonight or next week, next month's decision.
No, certainly not. I would view this as something that these programs would have to come before the board every year and ask. It's the county's money. It's not the program's money. So I'm asking for it's coming on behalf of. This is the county's portion of their award pursuant to the opioid settlement. Right. We're simply asking you to
Chairman, I do know that our day report manager has also said that she would like to be able to do more drug tests, but they're so expensive given the day report program.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? So we have a recommendation for the allocation of $9,000 to one of two programs. Couple options. We could either I'd entertain a motion to allocate the funds tonight, or we could table it and think about it and then allocate it next month. But anyway, I'm open to whatever.
I'd like to chew on it since it's not come in yet, and next month we can make a decision. It wouldn't mess anything up, and then we can kind of bounce it around.
What's your recommendation? A 50-50 split? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, I mean, we would be happy. Both programs would be happy with anything the board is willing to provide, in whatever percentage the board is willing to provide.
I'm good.
And just to be clear, the money has been deposited, so this money is here.
So we
Okay.
have, so we could take action and move the money, if that's what pleasure board is.
Are there any other drug rehab programs in the county?
Not that's run under the auspices of the court. No, I mean, this is the only program that I'm aware of. Both programs are the only programs that I'm aware of that are run essentially through the court system. Carroll County used to have a day reporting program that they terminated for reasons that are beyond me. I don't know. Because they were saving substantial amounts of money as well on jail costs. But with county,
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
I would dare say too, probably that this rehab program is probably a cheaper effort than many of the private programs that are funded. Drug rehab programs as far as cost. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Bowles?
yes, if someone, and again, it's an 18-month program as well. So these folks are with us for at least 18 months. They don't earn their dismissal. If that's what happens, I mean, their cases don't have to be dismissed, but it's an 18-month program. If someone is going into a privately operated 12-month inpatient rehabilitative program, and ours is not inpatient, these folks aren't, they're not, they're still out in the community because it's not, we want them to learn how to function outside. But it would be substantially, it would be very expensive, especially if they are not covered through some sort of health insurance. The only other places I'm aware of are, you have the Hope Ministries program, which is a 12-month inpatient facility that is in the county. You have the 30-day inpatient program, Bridge to Recovery, that is in Carroll County. It's in Gale, it's in Carroll County, the old Salesman. And then you have outpatient rehabilitative services through Mount Riders. Ours, short of an inpatient program, ours, I believe, offers as much of a care and as much as stick that might
So for an individual to go through the program for 18 months, do you have a figure on per individual, or does that vary because of their needs are so different and all that?
how much we spend for
Yeah, per individual.
I don't have that for you. I'm sure it can break it down, but not everyone's treated fairly in our program because not everyone has the same needs. You may have someone who has come to our program that has been an addict for 20 years of their life. You might have someone who's been an addict for 52. Each individual comes to us with different experiences, different levels of trauma, different levels of addiction. So we have to share more differently. So the amount of services we pour into them are different. Almost everyone goes through an intensive outpatient rehabilitative program. Some folks who are required to go to NA meetings every day for 90 days. Of course, those are no cost to the patient. Right. Some folks who are required to go to a 30-day inpatient program, that there's different things that.
So you mentioned Hope Ministries, and I know they have an initial fee for folks to go into their program, which is 12 months. Do you all assist folks with that?
So we will not let, I hate to talk in absolutes, but we typically would not allow a recovery board participant to enter into 12-month inpatient rehabilitative service while they're still in our program. It wouldn't make sense.
Well, you referred earlier to, people needing long-term treatment. Was that the not recovery court? That would have been something different.
We would,
in not having insurance and
Yeah.
couldn't.
so if I said long-term, I misspoke. We would not pay for someone to do a 12 months program while they're in our 18-month program. There have been times when we realize mutually between the defendant and us as a team that we have someone here that requires more oversight and more than what we can provide. And we recommend that they seek 12-month inpatient or longer. That's not through us. They do that instead. We have sent folks to 30-day, 45-day, 60-day inpatient. They're not able to help assist in the cost of that.
Yeah, I was just asking because of that. They don't charge anything except that initial fee, is my understanding. And I know sometimes that's tough for folks to get in to some
Right,
some
yeah,
of these administrative things, but I didn't mean to get you in the weeds there with you. I just had dealt with that last week.
Sure.
Last question.
That's not a question. You all know the day report works. And Ms. Rolls and Mr. Ashes are experts on this other group. I'd just like to make a motion to be split 50-50 for the first year. And look at it again next year. Move on, got the money, let's move on.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to allocate the opioid funds to the two programs 50-50 for FY 2022-2023. Have a second. Any other further discussion? Mr. Hash, anything?
No, sir.
All right, we'll go with Voight. All in favor? Any opposed?
So
Okay, and I'm an aye, so that's a 5-0 regardless of the electronics. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to back to Mr. Brewer. Steve Brewer, I see you're on the Zoom call there. Hopefully we'll get your screen back up. Appreciate you waiting around for that presentation there. Mr. Steve Brewer, Director of Government Affairs for CenturyLink. You've got probably more than a couple of people anxious to hear what you got to say, and I'll flip it over to you, sir. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear.
Great. Well, good evening. As you said, my name is Steve Brewer. I'm Director of Governmental Affairs for Lumen, or CenturyLink as we sit today. In just a few short weeks, 3 weeks actually, I'll be joining Brightspeed, and I'd like to give you a bit more information about that transition. On October 3rd, Brightspeed will have its day one, if you will. And about 1 year ago, Lumen, who is the parent company of CenturyLink, agreed to sell local assets in 20 states, including the state of Virginia. And day one of that new company will be October 3rd, as I mentioned just a moment ago. Apollo Global Management, which is a very large investment firm, agreed to purchase those assets from Lumen. And Apollo is doing so with the purpose of bringing as many fiber connections as possible to those assets. So tremendously excited about that. It is completely a new company with a new executive leadership team. Starting in October, you will see the CenturyLink equipment rebranded over to Brightspeed. But again, I think it's very important to remember here, this will be a completely different company. This is not a name change or rebranding. It's a new company with a new executive leadership team. Brightspeed will use its own investment dollars and also participate in broadband grants, again, to bring as many fiber connections to the communities that it serves over the next few years. And also in early October, I hope to have an internal Virginia-based governmental affairs team member join us as well. And certainly when that happens, I will provide you guys with that contact information. But again, should have governmental affairs feet on the ground sometime, I'm hoping in October. Are there any questions about the Brightspeed transition?
Well, if you could help us understand how it's going to benefit us, because right now, everything still sounds like a name change.
I'm sorry, everything still sounds like what?
Just a name change. How is it going to make anything different for people here in Grayson County?
Well, certainly. For one, the assets that are transitioning over, it's 20 states again. For one, we will no longer be competing for capital dollars with the likes of Phoenix and Seattle and Las Vegas. And the Brightspeed executive leadership team will be focused on these 20 states and these local assets. And again, the intent is to bring as many fiber connections as possible to the communities that we serve. Certainly, we still have a significant amount of copper network in the ground, and those networks are not intended to go away anytime soon. The executive leadership team that is coming over has a tremendous amount of experience in the in our industry. Many of them are former Verizon executives who built out Verizon's Fios network, or Verizon's Fios fiber network. So I have the opportunity to interact with them multiple times a week right now as we prepare for the transition over to Brightspeed, and I've been extraordinarily impressed. But I think overall, it is going to be a focus on these communities that we have not seen in some time. And I know that there's been a great deal of frustration over the past few years with the level of investment made in many of the communities, particularly those in the eastern United States that are part of the CenturyLink portfolio. I believe that's about to change in a really big way. Apollo Apollo made available above and beyond the cost of the transaction, an additional $2 billion to invest in these properties. So, and then certainly there's going to be additional investment by way of broadband grants. Brightspeed has made it very, very clear it intends to participate in broadband grants throughout the 20 states that it is acquiring. So, I'm very excited about the change. Again, I'm going to be able to bring a new team member on that actually resides in the state of Virginia. So really looking forward to that, so that we can interact with our communities in a much closer manner.
Chairman, yeah, please. Mr. Brewer, we talked earlier today. This is Mitch. Can you hear me?
We talked earlier today. This is Mitch, and we talked about some of the problems
Yes, sir.
we're experiencing here in Grayson County, Mr. Brewer, and you spoke of more representatives to answer calls and more technique. Can you elaborate some for the board on some of the things that will get to the meat of what we're needing, I think?
Yes, sir. Be happy to. So right now, Brightspeed is bringing on 120 call center representatives located here in the United States, and they are certainly they're being trained as we speak. And it's my understanding on day one, which again is October 3rd, those representatives will be available to answer the phone. Lumen has made a decision to try to migrate customers as much as possible over to digital platforms to report trouble tickets, to place service orders. And I know that there has been a significant increase that customers are seeing in hold times when trying to reach some of our offices. I'm very, very optimistic you will not experience those extended hold times when we transition over to Brightspeed. Again, the plan is to bring 120 customer service representatives into play on October 3rd is my understanding. Also, Brightspeed right now is attempting to hire 10 additional service technicians over what is currently on the payroll with Lumen or CenturyLink, and that's in the state of Virginia. And we are also increasing our contractor participation in these same assets. So certainly additional representatives to answer the telephone, and additional both contractors and in-house service technicians will be available to work on network.
So let me just, your comment about the frustration of the public is, it's understated. Frankly. We've got a lot of folks here. I think they're all suffering, but I'll give you my personal example. Had a lightning strike at the house. Got a loud rush on the phone. Can't make a call. I don't have good internet at the house to be able to do anything digital to be able to file the report. I download the app onto my phone and it doesn't work. It's asking for account information, which I put in, and it doesn't recognize me as a current customer. So the workaround that we did have was that the regional director here, a guy named Todd Codwell, people could text him and he would put the work order in. Well, he's gone now. And so when you say you're hiring 10 technicians for the state of Virginia, we have 2. And we've got major problems of connectivity. And to tell me that you're going to put fiber in the ground, we've been working on fiber in this county for 6 years. And we've got a lot of fiber now, but none of it is phone based. And so the frustration we have here now is that we can't get technicians, we can't get repair people, we cannot get anybody on the phone to give a shit about what is happening in Grayson County. So that's the frustration that the citizens here are having. And it ain't just young fan. All right. But that's the reality. I mean, we had a lady in here, she's here tonight to talk about the frustration. She's got a medical issue, can't do her home monitoring because her phone doesn't work. So back to the very first question. What are you doing for the citizens in Grayson County now? I know you got all this happy stuff about we're going to transition, all this. Yeah, I got it. I understand business. But what are we doing today to solve the problems, even though you're in a transition? That is what we need help with.
Well, as I said earlier, we are bringing on 10 additional technicians and we're bringing on additional contractor help. We've also relocated technicians from other states when available to Virginia to help with the service quality issues. So there certainly is there is additional work going on in order to bring service quality measures into standards.
I would like to tell you, Steve, that makes me feel better, but it doesn't.
Now, I understand.
But I got to tell you, I'm not getting the warm and fuzzy. I mean, we got a problem. We got an immediate problem here now. I think Mitch May told you on the phone. Because of our geography gets a vote in everything we do around here. And because of our geography, the only reliable, and I use that probably not the right way, but the only reliable means of communication for a lot of folks in this rural area is that landline. And we have a 911 service that's the only way they're going to get a hold of our volunteer fire and rescue. So when our landline doesn't work, we don't have a cell phone option in a lot of parts of the county. We don't have the backup internet cable yet to be able to do a redundant. So the message here is that we have a single point of failure that's tied to CenturyLink, Loomis, Skybright, whatever you want to call it, that has to have some immediate attention, even though you got this transition going on and everything's going to get better in 6 months. But we need some immediate attention from the leadership of both organizations now, because we have single point failure occurring today.
I understand your frustrations, and I understand that we need to show you and not just talk about it. I am completely convinced that is about to happen. Again, there's additional actions and work being taken to bring the customer service or customer service level standards into an appropriate level. As I mentioned earlier, we're relocating technicians from other states when possible. We are trying to bring additional contractors into play, and we're hiring additional internal technicians. I mean, there is movement afoot to resolve the issues that you're discussing here.
Mr. Brewer, this is Supervisor Anderson, and I guess we're excited that something different's happening other than CenturyLink, because it's become a bad word in this county for a long time. But you're hiring 120 people to take complaints, but you're only hiring 10 to service those complaints. And it takes a good hour and a half to get from one end of our county to the other. Could you guys reconsider your plan and maybe get some more technicians up here to address these immediate issues? Because you're going to take over in October, but the bills aren't going to stop. We're still going to be paying the same bill and getting the same crappy service until something's addressed. Is there any way you could take another look at that?
So, but please understand, these are additional technicians, and we're also bringing on additional contractors for the same purpose to help us get service intervals up to standards. So it is more than 10 additional employees that are coming into play here.
All right, so I take it pretty soon we'll be seeing bright speed trucks throughout the county addressing issues. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir. I would expect that you would see that. Yes. I mean, there's going to be additional employees in a number of our Virginia communities to help with the service issues that you're describing tonight.
No, I can't. That's, I guess my question would be, and you covered a little bit, would be the infrastructure. It's not only just technicians. I know some of our guys or boys here are going out of state and working somewhere else too. But the infrastructure pretty much is in bad shape, especially in the western end of the county. And these people really deserve a way to get a hold of somebody. The infrastructure is, and I'm a retired power company, and I work alongside these telephone boys for 45 years, and their trucks don't work. They're people, of course, you say there are people coming in from other states, and I've seen them, but they don't know where everything is in Grayson County. I think infrastructure is probably the big problem, because it's been there forever, and I know what comes by my house is an underground pedestal, and the state guys tore it down 2 years ago, and it ain't never been fixed. So I would look at, hopefully they look at the infrastructure all the way through the western end of the county, rather than just technicians. That's all I got.
Thank you. And I've certainly already made note of that, and I will bring that to the attention of both Lumen executives and the Brightspeed executive leadership team.
Trash.
No, I know our elderly population is more dependent upon this landline than a lot of the younger that are a little bit more tech savvy, and also that, well, if you have the signal to use cell phones or whatever new technology. But I've had a lot of citizens in my district, children that have moved off and stuff who have don't have the ability to check on their parents, and their parents aren't able to get out, and like Mr. Belton just spoke of, lines that are exposed to the weather that haven't been repaired. There is a lot of infrastructure issues going on. And then also, you spoke to the call center issue. I myself have tried to get work orders and just to be passed around by someone that, I couldn't understand, that was obviously from some kind of foreign call center, or, located somewhere else. And, but we do hope that, you will give us a serious effort to try to take care of some of these issues.
Thank you for your comments, and certainly the call center employees, it's my understanding that all of them will be based in the United States.
All right, Steve, I've taken a breath and drank water, so I'm a little better now. But the one recommendation, and not because Mr. Belton used to work for APCO, but my experience with APCO is if I had an outage, I don't have to log on to anything. I can just call, or if I do still have internet, I can report it. I don't have to have an account number. I just put my address in. I don't have power. That's all they have to do. The current system is way, way too hard to get somebody to aware that you have phone problems. That would be huge if you could make it simpler. And I'll shout out to APCO, because theirs is very simple. If you could do that both on the telephonic side and on the internet side, it would help the citizens at least gain some confidence that they're connecting with the company that they're paying to deliver telecommunications. And right now, that's one of the biggest frustrations, is just getting the info to the technicians that need to do the job. And again, back to my example of trying to get somebody to be aware that I've got dead phone, poor internet. Well, I've got poor internet no matter if it's working or not, but and lightning strike box hanging off the side of the building, I can't get a hold of it. So if you can work on that as well as the other stuff, I really appreciate it.
All right. I thank you for your comments. I'm completely convinced that you're about to see a different scenario as we transition over to Brightspeed. Like I said, Lumen made a decision to encourage service orders, trouble tickets, all to be entered digitally. And I think that's probably had an impact on the wait times for reaching our call centers. But rest assured, I've been given guidance by the Brightspeed executive leadership team that they have a significant number of call center reps that are being trained as we speak.
Let me ask you this, and this may be motivation to hire the Virginia guy, but could you come back in 30 days at our next board meeting and give us an update on the progress? Because at that point, you're going to have new flags on your cars and trucks. We're supposed to be able to verify that new technicians are out, but I would ask that you come back in 30 days and give us an update of how we're doing.
I'll be happy to come back.
Significant importance to everyone in the county.
I'll be
in starting to build some trust back.
I'll be happy to come back, and there is some likelihood at that time that I will also have a governmental affairs who is a resident of Virginia that may be able to join me as well.
That would not be surprising. Thank you for your time and your effort. Anything else, board? Mr. Ash, anything?
No, nothing.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for putting up with that. Thanks for hearing us.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I've certainly made notes. I understand your frustrations. If you'll just bear with us a bit longer, I'm convinced that we're going to deliver you a product that you'll be happy with.
I hope you're right.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, everybody. All right, moving on. Miss Lindsay Young. Maybe you have your presentation.
Let's hope so. All right, good evening.
I'll
Thank
turn
you.
my mic off.
Thank you for allowing us to come this evening to give an update on the Grayson County Ag Fair. Not quite yet my show, but thank you for being prepared. The fair overall was a great success this year. We had.
Can we hold on and get rid of Venmo?
Go to the middle. Go to the middle and hit these two. All right.
This process is natural.
All right, are we good? Okay. So this year, the fair was overall, I believe, a great success. We had additional activities and additional vendors from years past. Obviously, as you can see, I created a short video of pictures from the fair that I hope you all will enjoy, and I hope it'll give you that warm and fuzzy that
Need a little of that.
you're looking for. After the video, Michelle Pridgeon, one of our Ag Fair Foundation board members, and Elizabeth Hash, the treasurer of the Ag Fair Foundation, will present. And since we've already got the video up, but I also want to say thank you to the Ag Fair committee members that are here this evening. We've got several, and just publicly want to say thank you to you guys for all of your hard work for making this fair a success. We were very short-staffed, and we're going to get to that point when they present, but the few people that we had, they did a lot of work and put in a large number of hours, and you will hear how many hours that they have put in after we get to watch our videos. So I hope you enjoy it.
All right, I'm lucky I get to come on after some happy news. I'm Michelle Pridgeon. I am the current chair of the Fair Foundation, as Lindsay mentioned. Just a little bit of history for those of you who aren't familiar. The Grayson County Fair was actually the first recommendation of the Ag Advisory Board, and we put that into effect in 2018. What we did is we joined forces with the existing youth livestock show that had been going on for 13 years at that time. So the first year we did a little teeny part of the fair. I think we only had baked goods, canned goods, and one other thing that I cannot recall. Anyway, produce. So we started small. The next year we really built up quite a bit. We had a big increase in participation and attendance, and the joint livestock show and fair was off to a pretty good start. Then we had COVID, and so there was no fair in 2020. The livestock show was able to put on a livestock show since they were the only participant in Mr. Bottomley's huge warehouse, and they were able to carry that on safely. In 2021, we did start back up, and we kind of kept it a more limited fair simply because we still had quite a bit of COVID in the area. 2022, we had the addition of Lindsay as our Ag Advisor, Ag Economic Development. It's a really long title. We should have made it shorter. That was also a recommendation of the Ag Advisory Board. And Lindsay not only does a great video, she did an amazing job bringing the fair together this year. Those great pictures you saw of the dog show, that was a new addition this year. In addition, we finally received our nonprofit status, and thank you very much to the county for all of the help you gave in pursuing that, because it took forever. And that was just because, again, with COVID, there were so many slowdowns everywhere. But anyway, that allowed us to start pursuing fundraising, and I'll let Elizabeth, our treasurer, talk about that. Lindsay not only pulled the fair together, but she also talked 77 people into volunteering for the fair portion of the fair, and 15 livestock show volunteers were part of that. That does include 4 paid county staff. The volunteer hours were 1,329 hours. There were 250 additional hours for the folks who helped with the livestock show. Of those, 560 were from those paid staff. However, if you figure $30 an hour for the volunteer time, not including paid staff, that was a whopping $30,570 that folks donated to the fair. We estimated our attendance was about 500 people. There's several entrances into the fairground, so it's kind of hard to keep track. In 2021 and 2019, we estimated about 300. So we are seeing a buildup again at the fair. For the first time, we had formal participation from the Grayson County Schools. The ag program at the high school, which is Alice Cox, Heather Wood, and Zane Williams, brought 70 ag students. Those were some of the students you saw in front of that giant hay wagon. They were doing the Stockman show, and 60 kids entered that. And so they were identifying various agricultural items, and they also judged live animals. So having that buy-in from the school this year was great. I'll also say that that really awesome pumpkin that had the blue ribbon on it came from the Independence Elementary School Garden Program. And so that was grown by our 4th and 5th graders and entered into the fair. The dog show was brand new. It did have 6 dogs, 3 adults, and 2 kids participate. The honey show and the quilt show, which was run by Barbara Moncrief here, went to People's Choice, which really involved the public in voting. And about 175 people voted in both of those shows. The hay bale contest, which Grayson Land Care puts on to help advertise the fair, had 7 entries this year with over 300 people voting. And our County Department of Social Services barely nudged out the FFA kids to win the $200 prize. I don't know if you saw their cute little camper that was down there in front of Food City, and the FFA kids had the FFA student hay bale. So both of those were awesome. Fair entries were down a little bit this year. We had 31 adults, 9 kids, and they entered 185 items. One really outstanding entrant, Macy Sperlin, who is 10, entered 18 different items, took home 3 Best in Shows and numerous 1st and 2nd place ribbons. The livestock show had 59 youth competitors. And as you saw the swine and the dairy. They also had sheep, goats, and beef cattle. There were kids from 12 different counties that came to our county to participate in the fair. And the livestock show has always given, what are they called? Anyway, they give cash prizes to encourage the kids to participate, and they give out roughly $2,000 in cash awards. So like Lindsay said, I think overall the fair this year was a big success, and we were really fortunate to have so many people donate their time, and also Mitchell Bottomley donated the facility again. And we had other folks donate in kind as well as in addition to the hours, and I will let Elizabeth talk about that. Any questions or comments?
Is there any thought given to a new location next year for the fair?
So it probably will not be next year, but there is a committee that is working on a full-time or a permanent facility for the fair. I believe they're looking at that Elk Creek School. And so Lindsay is heading up that.
What would be the holdup for next year?
I'll let Lindsay answer that one.
Having a facility that can contain everything that we've got is not something easy that you can come by. If you want to do it outside in the elements and just have kids showing in the rain or what have you, you know, you might could find a big piece of land for that. The problem in years past was they were having to put up tents, and Elizabeth's going to tell you here in a minute, we only have 10 crew members. Now, I twisted arms of 77 people to help throughout, but putting up tents of that size take a lot of people, and it takes money to
And
rent
don't
those
forget,
tents.
you're at Elk Creek where the wind blows.
The wind blows and tents aren't adequate for something like that. If someone has a couple $1 million that they could give us tomorrow so we could build a facility, we'll be glad to take it. We've got 3 nonprofits that would be glad to take those dollars and then start spending them to build the facility. But trying to find something that can house everything and build the fair, house what we have now and continue to build a fair is not going to be an easy task, and it's not something that we can do overnight. And it's not something we can do with 10 people either. You saw how many hours these people, and I think that's low. I think that number is low. That's the number of hours these people put into actually planning this fair with a facility that's already there. It's a lot more work, time, and effort than I think people realize.
Could you explain the kind of the timeline that we're working on for the facility development? Just, you know, where we're at in that process.
And you can turn it over to Elizabeth.
Or Elizabeth, either one. I didn't mean to cut her
No,
out.
that's okay.
I can go if you want.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That's fine.
I had planned to talk a little bit about that too.
That's good.
Well, I'm Elizabeth Hash. So I am the treasurer for the Ag Fair Foundation. I'm an Elk Creek native and work at Style National Bank now. I've been a member of the Fair Committee since 2018. I've also a member of the Ag Advisory Committee as well. But just started in the treasurer role as of last year, once we got our 501c3 status. So we did, like Michelle said, we did receive 501c3 status. I guess it was the beginning of this year. So we were able to receive our own EIN number so we could open up our own checking account. So in the past, we just operated kind of as an arm underneath the county. Money, everything was filtered through the county as far as that goes. So that was our first really big step to be independent and being able to operate outside and as our own foundation and to start building sponsorships from the community. So as I think you guys have packets, on the second page of that packet is a list of all of our sponsors for this year. So we had over 50. They're all listed there, and we're so thankful for those sponsors, both businesses and community members. Very, very thankful for those. So in total for community sponsorship, we had $7,425. The county sponsorship for this year was $3,000. And it's really hard to put a number on this, but our in-kind for non-monetary donations, we're thinking was around $5,000. I think that's low. It's really hard to put a price on what Bottom Lease allows us to use that facility for. Not to mention we had several other in-kind donations, not including any volunteer hours. So altogether, that's a total of $15,425 that we were able to raise this year for the fair. So it's definitely the most sponsorship that we've ever received. And I will, Terry Dunleavy isn't here today, but I will give a big shout out to him. He did an awesome job of soliciting all these sponsorships and going out to businesses. And Susan too. Yeah, I mean, you guys did a tremendous job. I think you all knocked on about every door, sent letters about anywhere you could find in the county, and even outside the county. So you guys did a great job, and it obviously really paid off. So thank you. I will, before I forget, I want to again reiterate what Michelle said, but a big thank you to all of our committee members, especially to Lindsay. for leading up this effort. We all put in a lot of work, but Lindsay, if it wasn't for you, none of this would have quite happened, like it definitely not at the capacity that it did, so thank you. So again, we're very thankful for all the businesses and individuals who sponsored the fair, and we hope that everyone who donated will continue, and if you didn't, you've got next year, and there's some of it. So just to kind of give you an overview, Michelle and Lindsay kind of hit on this too, but the way that our committee is structured, we are a committee, we have monthly meetings, there's no entry fees of any kind to join. If you want to help and volunteer, you're more than welcome to attend. So we had 10 active committee members. 4 of those 10 are paid county employees, either directly through the county like Lindsay, or with extension with Kevin's program. So that's 6, just do easy math here. That's 6 people that are volunteers in the community that are not paid county employees. We do have monthly meetings, so that's that type of commitment. But within our committee, we kind of divide up into subcommittees and other people who kind of have a lead in what they specialize in. And so one person isn't responsible for everything. Lindsay did a good job trying to divide up that work this year. Let's just stop and think about that for a second. So there's 10 of us to plan for a whole year for a fair that took over 80 volunteers to actually execute the week of. It was 4 active days, not including any of the planning that goes into it. That's 4 active days, set up fair entries, taking all 2 days, and then a whole fair all day on Friday and all day on Saturday. 10 people planned all that. Now I know there were 80 people there that we had to twist and beg and pry to get there. That's 10 people, 6 really, that wasn't part of their job to help do that. So not only they were there for 4 days, but they had to coordinate over 30 vendors to set up and provide any needs that they might have. You had to provide accessibility and comfort for over 500 people and kids that were there to show, not to mention all the livestock that was there and animals. These are also 10 people who are not professional event planners. They have full-time jobs, other obligations, and families at home. And they took the time, 6 of them, not that the county people weren't important to, but 6 of them took the time to do that. So as you can see through that, the problem really isn't getting volunteers the week of the fair. We did a pretty good job of that. We had a lot of people that really pitched in, and I could go through the list and shout them all out, but I know I missed somebody, so I'm not going to dare try. But we couldn't have pulled it off without those people that came and helped us. So that's really not the problem. It's finding those committed volunteers to help plan all year. And it's really not that much. We maybe meet at 45 minutes to an hour once a month. And really, it's not that, I mean, we're not even meeting this month, and we're probably not going to have serious meetings until after the first of the year, because we all need to recover a little bit. And those 10 people aren't always going to be here either. You know what I mean? Some people it's easy to get burned out whenever there's not that many of you participating, and there's not many people to divide the workload. Obviously, you know, people have to leave and change for different reasons. But in order to continuing to grow our county fair and to be like some of our surrounding counties, like the Carroll County Fair, I'm sure a lot of people enjoy going to that. There's rides, there's games, there's activities and events. In Washington County Fair, they have concerts, whatever. We have to remember that those people have been doing it 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and we're still in our early stages. We can never get to that point unless we have volunteers now who kind of stake in and really decide that that's what they want to do to help the county. So anyway, there's my pitch there. And so that kind of leads me into talking about the future of our fair, and that's what John and Mr. Anderson were trying to hit on too. So obviously we want to continue to grow. We want to be like those counties surrounding us that have great fairs. We do envision having a permanent fair facility, and we are in the works of that. Lindsay, I'll let you in a second if you want to help me kind of talk about where we are there. But the Bottomley family is very generous to offer their facility, but that's not always guaranteed. We never know how year to year, if that's guaranteed, just depending on their operational structure. But they're very generous, and it's worked out really great for us to have it there. We want to have more kids activities. I mean, eventually the thought of having carnival rides, that'd be great. Other entertainment like live music, I think all that would be good. I think anything that we can do to entice people that are not members of the agriculture community to come and learn about how important agriculture is to not only our county, but to the world itself is really important. The more people that we can educate, the better. Ag is a huge initiative for our county. It's the #1 economic driver. I don't know if a lot of people really understand that, everyday citizens really understand that. So I think it's a really important thing to educate the public, and so getting as many extra activities we can is important. We are talking about a permanent facility, and we're also thinking about possibly changing from the second weekend in August to later in the fall. So then that way we can avoid large events like the Gay Lex Fiddlers Convention, and we can solicit more participation from the school. It's hard once the kids are only in school for a week or two to get a lot of participation. So we can get that later in the fall, we can hopefully get some more participation there. So like I said, in the years past, the county, this past year, the county gave us $3,000. This year, we're asking, come to the board and asking you all for $5,000, which would be an addition of $2,000 for the 2023 fair. So we can continue to grow on that path that we're looking forward. The other thing that I'm asking really everyone in this room, not just supervisors, but like I said, just to reiterate, to continue growing our fair at the capacity that we want to, and to continue supporting the county's initiatives, we've got to have committed volunteers moving forward. So I just ask if you as supervisors can use your networks to help find willing volunteers. I know that volunteerism is a problem in every sector of anything that we do. But if you know anybody who might be interested in one of these facets of the fair, please keep them in mind. Refer them to Lindsay or I or somebody here on the committee. Our next meeting is Thursday, November 17th. We'd love to have as many people come out and join us as they can. So contact us for more information. Also, I was told to put in a plug for our ag breakfast. That's another thing that Lindsay has started. It's September 20th at 8 a.m. 7 a.m. early morning. But it's free breakfast. Come and hang out with us. Get to network with people in the industry. Also gonna have the speaker, I think, Jay Dunbar. So come hang out.
And you don't have to be a producer in ag. A lot of what the Ag Advisory Committee and what Lindsay is trying to do is just to let everybody know what's going on in the county with ag and how important agriculture is to our area. And so I hope you'll join us.
Any other questions?
So the question was a timeline?
Yeah, just kind of hit the high points on where we are and where, what's the kind of the next gauge, the next 6 months, maybe.
Okay, so I've learned that there has been a group that, the Elk Creek Fire Department has been wanting to do something with that land out there behind the Elk Creek School, or the Elk Creek School and the land there. So we finally got a group that consists of the Ag Fair Foundation, the Livestock Show Committee, of course, the Elk Creek Fire Department, the school system, and some other interested community volunteers, and then Supervisor Fance also sitting on there with us. But what we have discussed so far as the timeline goes, is there's groups that use the playground. So we would like to update and renovate the playground, and then possibly put some sort of facility, like a pole barn or something on the land. There's 30 acres, I think. Some sort of pole barn out on that land where we could do these livestock shows. We could set up vendors. We could do concerts or any kind of community events. I've heard word people want horse show at this fair. I'm not doing a horse show where we're at now. That I don't think that facility is conducive to a horse show. So we're trying to plan this facility so it will encompass all of these ideas. And the Fair Foundation went to the EDA and requested some money to do a feasibility study, and they granted that. So we are currently in the beginning stages of a feasibility study with a company called Virginia Fairs. And most feasibility studies are going to cost, like, I want to say $40,000 to $50,000. They subsidize theirs and they charge $10,000. So it's through Farm Bureau, and it's a great group to work with. But basically the feasibility study is first going to determine our community buy-in for this permanent facility. So does the community want it or do they not? If they don't want it, then we can just nix the idea right there. The other thing that the feasibility study is going to do is kind of give us an overall business plan and a financial plan. Is it financially feasible? All of that stuff. I can't give a really good timeline on how quickly some of this stuff is gonna happen, but it's gonna be a couple of years. It's not something that's gonna be able to happen next year, especially the building of the barn or the pole barn or the facility or whatever, the multi-use facility that you wanna call it. Because we've got to raise funds to do that. And I couldn't tell you how much that's going to cost, but it's going to be a chunk of change. And, you know, that's kind of where our sponsors and our support of the community comes in too. If we can continue getting people to sponsor and support the fair, we can also, you know, help fund this permanent facility. So asking for a timeline, we've got a feasibility study that's being started. We'd like to renovate the playground. We'd like to put a facility on that land if that's where the community wants it, and then possibly utilize the school, help update and renovate the school to use that as an exhibit hall or, you know, classrooms to do other things for the community. I mean, we could have a cattle sale facility there for our cattle producers, so they don't have to drive to Whitfield to take their animals to sell them. This is kind of where we're at. We're just starting to get a feel for what the community wants.
We also are, and Lindsay did a good job of saying that our number one goal is to allow it to be multi-use. We want different facets of the county to be able to use it. And so we don't want to just jump into it and build a fair facility, because that's only going to get used once a year if we do it that way. But if we make it multi-use, then other people in the county can use it.
We can use it throughout the year.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest to you, if you want community buy-in and you want the community support, you move your location and you figure out a way to do it by next year. Because you guys are ag advisory. Right now, Christmas trees are still part of ag, is the way it's labeled. And we sit in here and listen week after week, hour after hour to people complaining about bottomleys and their treatment of their neighbors with the fertilizer, the spray and whatnot. So I appreciate your effort to put the fair together, but it sounds like it's turning into a big expense. And to flippantly ask if I've got 10 million for you to build a building, I would suggest you figure out a way to do it at the Oak Creek facility that's already existing, and maybe recognize some of the concerns that your neighbors all around you have, because I would dare say there's a lot of people that didn't come to that fair because of where it was located. And I know a lot of those people, and that's the community that I'm hearing from, and that's the community that I'm speaking for. So I appreciate your efforts, but I think you need to take a little more serious the concerns of the people that live in Oak Creek in that immediate area.
I'm not sure where we're not being serious about it, but that's kind of why I said we're doing this feasibility study, is to ask those questions. You know, do they want, you know, that facility there? What are your recommendations? And that's, you know, Elizabeth just told everybody, we've got 10 people. 10 people can't just, you know, decide to move it and put up, you know, tents or some sort of facility that could house this somewhere. We would need a piece of land to do this also. So it's not, you know, we're not trying to joke around and do it. We have to do it in Elk Creek. That's not what we're saying. But, you know, what the issue is having help finding a location to do something or do a program of this magnitude.
Right. But when you said if I had 10 million, you could do it, that was what I had issue with.
I don't think I said 10 million. I said if we could get a couple $1 million tomorrow, we would love to be able to spend it to build this facility. And I wasn't joking. If someone listening out there would like to
Well, I'm sure you would
support
take
us,
10 million
we would
or 2
love
million or 1 million or
we would
whatever.
certainly use it and put it to good use.
But in fairness, okay, these two ladies weren't on the committee when we went to Bottomley and said, can we do the fair there? The livestock committee was already doing the livestock show at Bottomley. We the county partnered with the livestock committee, which is an independent organization, to try to get a fair going. Fire department has tried in Elk Creek. It started to try to do a fair a long time ago. There's been many organizations that have tried to do fairs. We used to have one a long time ago. But it wasn't the fair committee's decision to partner with Bottomley's. It was the Ag Advisory Committee decision to partner with the Livestock Committee, which was already at that facility. And that facility allowed us to get a fair going sooner rather than later. Fully acknowledge that there's issues in the community, the county, the region with them. That facility was there. We have no other like facility in the county, but acknowledging that for the long-term benefit of the county, we would like our own facility.
We do.
And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do.
And you have to start somewhere. And we hear the concerns too, but you have to start somewhere, and like John said.
And Elizabeth's invitation to the next committee meeting, if there are people that have legit recommendations and things that we could do or where we can move it, please come. Please come and give us those recommendations. Like I said, we're only 10 people. We only have so far of a reach. If you can come to that meeting and you've got a legit recommendation of somewhere that we could do this program, please help us.
Well, if you have 10 people, make it manageable for 10 people and slow down the growth until you get some, your better facilities and better plan as far as the location. That would be
And if that's the wishes of the board, we can certainly do that.
That's just me speaking. I don't know what their wishes are, but I do know that at some point we're probably gonna have a discussion about this county's partnership with Bottomley's, I hope.
Thank y'all for all of your time that you put into the fair. I thought it was a big success.
I'll second that. Be positive. Vote for 10 million.
Mr. Ash. You're muted. You're muted. It's been a while, sorry.
I echo their sentiments and thank you for your hard work. And I know there is a lot of effort put into it. We're looking for bigger and better things.
Yeah, and again, thanks to everybody that did it. I mean, a lot of you are here. I've been around this thing since it started, but I haven't been doing what y'all been doing. And so my hat's off to you. Put a lot of time and effort into it. It wouldn't be where it is without y'all. We'll keep chipping away at it. Keep up the good work. Don't lose faith.
Thanks.
Stay motivated. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Stacy Reps, come on down. Price is right. So.
Sorry, I thought it dropped. I don't want to take too much of anybody's time, so.
That's good. We need a bathroom break.
I'll talk fast, I'm sorry. Election officials, right now, the way we've got everything laid out, we have enough people for all of the locations. I think Gloria told you that last time. We have a few alternates that step in that are willing to travel like within a certain number of miles. So we will always tell you if you know anybody else, we can plug them in as an alternate just in case, folks get sick, have family emergencies or what have you. So bad weather and somebody can't get there or whatever. So if you do know of anybody else, send them our way, okay? Because we're going to sign up and get them trained. We have been talking about, and I know last time you did not have the breakdown of the additional money that we asked for, and I emailed that to everybody, so I'm hoping everybody's had a chance to look at that. And if that's acceptable to you all, I've talked with the finance director, Lisa Gayhart, and we have all the details worked out as far as how that would come into play and be paid. So we're good to go unless you all have a concern with that additional money that we requested or have questions about anything.
Doctor, you okay?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just missed the email, but I didn't see it.
Sorry, but that, yeah, if you all are good, we're good. So.
If we're not willing to.
We'll figure it out.
That's
When
right.
we get there, so. And I had sent an email about redistricting this, it's every 10-year thing, and this year it has been a 15-year thing, it has felt like. But when we were having the public hearing somewhere thereabouts, March and April, we had looked at a chunk that we moved from Elk Creek District to Wilson District. And at the time, the answer that I got is that once we move it, we cannot break it down because it's census block. And I think I sent you all an email about that as well. I didn't know if you had any questions on that. I've reached out, I've talked to Brandon Moore, who was our GIS consultant, did the mapping and everything for us. And then I reached out to Steve Durbin, who's the county attorney, and I've not gotten any response from him. I don't know if that's anything that you all even want to look at. I know at the time, some of you had mentioned if we could split that chunk and have half go to Comer, or an upper portion go to Comer's Rock and a lower portion Bridle Creek, it would be better, a better route for the voters to have to travel time-wise, road-wise, and what have you. And like I said at the time, I was told no. And I have since been dealing with some different folks at the Department of Elections, and I've been told, yes, you can. So when I got the yes, you can response, I reached out to the GIS consultant and the county attorney, but I've not gotten a response from the county attorney. So I passed it on to you all in case that's something you do want to pursue.
Can you help us out there?
The response I sent you the other day.
He said that he could look at it and see if that's something you all want to do. So that's why I passed it, passed it to you. So
I think he advised.
It won't be for November. I'm sorry, there's no time to do that for November now.
Okay, but
So
next
November
year-
would be as is, but if we could get on it after this passes and have it ready for the next whatever election would be coming. Sorry, Mitch, it took me a minute there.
That's okay.
And it would be, we did the certificate of no objection for the redistricting. And that's, you send it to the Attorney General and you get a response back within 60 days, or you can do the public hearing, public comment period, and it takes so many days and so many, and I can't keep the legal part of that straight, but I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. That's above my knowledge level there. So you got, I think, 2 routes that you can go, if I understand it correctly. Either way, after
That's for
November,
next
if we
year.
do it, we
That's
should
for
be
next
able, yeah.
Okay.
So if
you're
you
in
want
good
to
shape.
look at, we're in good shape for November. If you want to look at changing so those folks can go
We'll get it all
closer, then that's something that you can jump on.
done. Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
And that's
Thank
all I've got unless somebody has questions about anything.
Anybody? Mr. Ash, anything?
No.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
All right, we're gonna take a 10-minute recess, reconvene at 7:45. We back live there, the recording was, Mr. Smith. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is Ms. Mary Thomas, Regional Library Director. Welcome.
Thank you. I am seeking Grayson County's help with the Freeze Public Library. We are needing a way of heating and cooling that library that maintains a comfortable temperature all year long. I've discussed this issue with the mayor, Richard Farmer, and his suggestion was that we install a split unit HVAC into the Freeze Library. I have a quote for that amount, which is $6,900. And as I'm understanding it, the town of Freeze does not have the funds to proceed with this project. The immediate problem is with Freeze is maintaining a comfortable temperature during the summer and the winter. So it doesn't matter what time of the year. We have a problem in the summer. It gets too hot. We have 2 window air units in there that are running right now 24/7, set at 68 degrees to maintain minimally a 75-degree temperature. When my employee comes in, the temperature is around 72, which is quite comfortable. By 11:30, 12 o'clock, she's telling me it's already at 74, and the temperature will hit up to about 75. The air conditioners can maintain the 75-degree temperature. The problem is that it gets a little hot for the staff to work. it gets hot for the clientele that we have coming in. In the wintertime, right now it's being done by forced electric heat air. And one of the forced air units on the wall is beyond repair. When it turns on, the racket for 1 minute to 2 minutes, sometimes 3, is so loud it stops all conversation in the library. When it turns off, we get the same racket. I've been told by the town that that unit is non-repairable. We've turned that heat all the way down so it rarely comes on. The consequence of that is the library itself can only maintain, is very difficult to maintain even a 68-degree temperature during the cold, excuse me, coldest part of the winter. So what we are looking for is a solution to have something that is comfortable year-round. We have had someone who donated a small electrical heater for the staff person to have at their desk. Unfortunately, that little unit is not enough to really maintain a good temperature in that building, in that room, for a long enough time while the person is there. So what I'm hoping for is that you all see your way to helping us put in that split unit HVAC in the Freeze Library, which is located in the Freeze Community Center. Do you have any questions?
You say it was 60 what?
In the winter time?
No, the cost that you're asking,
$6,900. That's the quote I have.
is that, was that put out to more people than one, or, you know?
When I was talking to the mayor, he recommended this person. Apparently this is someone they have done business with. So that is the person I went to get their quote with.
Was it Shoot Electric? Was it Shoot or was it somebody else? You know?
Virginia, it's Virginia, North Carolina,
Yeah, Virginia, Carolina. Yeah.
Virginia, Carolina Heating and Cooling. So I went with who, because we don't own the building, and that really is, so I went with who the mayor recommended at that point.
I think we've got to have more than one quote.
Yeah.
For anything that we do, I assume that would apply to anything.
Well, here's so I'm on the library board, and I know Mr. Hash is on a working group with the town on issues, helping to work issues between the county and the town. But the library is kind of a tenant of the community center, and there's, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have any sort of an agreement with them.
We do not.
Yeah, so the town kind of, instead of giving direct compensation to the library like Independence does, they do kind of in kind, right? They say, we'll maintain the building and you all can have the library.
They maintain the building, they pay for the electricity.
Right.
The only cost to the library with Grayson Regional Library is the cost of actually operating the library, the staff, the books, the materials, and we pay for our internet and telephone service. And the town and community service, the community center board takes care of everything else.
So technically, this bill isn't really ours, you know, because the owner of the building is supposed to maintain that sort of system. But the issue is town is the freeze is, you know, strapped for cash like any of these little towns are. And so Mary's working with them, but what I wonder, and I'll kick it over to Mike, if this issue could move into that working group you have with freeze and talk it over and see if there's a solution. And while at the same time, we maybe kick it out for 3 bids as Supervisor Ivy recommended. But get it into the working group with freeze and the county to see if that's the right solution and what other options there might be. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'd be more than happy to bring it up. We met last week and have been working on some of the issues like with the water plan and the flooding issue at the school, which is a county asset. And so this wouldn't be a problem to add to some of the items of work on. There could potentially be some grant funding. Deb Jones has been working also with this group. I'll see if that's possible, but yes, I'll be more than happy to do that.
And it may be, something that we could fund through ARPA or something like that, but I think it needs to be racked and stacked against other stuff that we're talking about. I've been on the library board now, I think 6 years, and I think the better solution long-term for the library and freeze, because I think we need to keep a library and freeze, but I don't know that the community center is the best long-term solution. It's been there a long time. But there may be a longer-term solution that we need to consider too, and that would be something to talk to the town about options there too, Mike. Do we need she's asking for money, but I think we've got do you need a motion for us to do that, or are you okay with what the consensus appears to be to move it over to the
consensus?
You okay with that?
I can oppose, sir.
Okay, you good with that, Mike?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that ends all our reports, presentations, requests. I don't see any old business. We'll move on to new business. First thing is deeded gift of easement with Grayson Regional Library.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we've been granted a deed of gift of a parcel of land around 2,044 square feet, 0.065 acres. That has graciously been deeded to us from the Anders and Geneva Walters, and Miss Anders, Donna Anders, and her daughter are here tonight, and we want to recognize them for the gift that has been given. And what this will allow, let me elaborate just a minute, what this will allow us to do. We'll have to work in conjunction with the town and some of the property next to us, but this will allow us improvements. If you've been to our public library down there, when you get pulled in, it's easy to pull in, but sometimes it's hard to get out. And so
They don't want you to leave, it's the bottom line.
Yeah, and so.
You may come, but you never.
But this is a tremendous gift that we've been allotted from the Anders family and Geneva Walters to allow us to make improvements to that parking lot. We would like to do it this year, but we've had some things that happen that wouldn't allow for that. But hopefully in the near future, this coming spring or next summer, we're going to be able to get things to where that we can make some good improvements to the library parking lot. And just wanted to recognize that they are here, Mr. Chairman, tonight. And
on behalf of the county, thank you all very much for your generous donation and the memory that it'll sustain over the next, for everybody else's lifetime. So thank you very much for that. It means a lot to the county. If it's the pleasure of the board, we suspend the reading of the deed. And then after, if it's okay with newspaper lady, we have the Anders come down, we'll do a nice photo to recognize that. There will be recognition for the family in this donation on a permanent basis once we get it done. But if you all are okay with that, we'll take a picture down front so that we can recognize your all's gift tonight. Is that all right? So with that, everybody okay with suspending the reading of the deed?
Yes.
All right, we'll do that. So if y'all, Marcy, come down. Don, I'm sorry, come on down. Mike, we'll Photoshop you in. I'm a bookend, that's what I do. That's why I'm on the library board.
Mitch?
Right. And thank you.
Thank you. I guess we need to vote on this, right? So, I'll entertain a motion, and do we need a roll call vote on that? Okay. So entertain a motion to accept the deed of gift. I'm gonna have a first and a second, or a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Mr. Hashing?
No.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Hash, we'll start with you.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I'm also aye. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you.
All right, moving on, proclamation, National Preparedness Month.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is something that we do every September, and also I might add, before the proclamation, our board that we can set out in the town or whatever, every weekend during September, that's going to have a different message for National Preparedness Month. And so you might notice that out at the intersection where the tractor is, and our board will be sitting there with a different message every week. But this is National Preparedness Month, and we have a proclamation recognizing that. Yes, sir. Proclamation of the Grayson County Board of Supervisors in support and recognition of National Preparedness Month. Whereas National Preparedness Month creates an important opportunity for every resident of Grayson County to prepare their homes, businesses, and communities for any type of emergency, including natural disaster and potential terrorist attacks. And whereas investing in preparing ourselves, our families, businesses, and communities can reduce fatalities and economic devastation in our community and in our nation. And whereas the Federal Emergency Management Agency's READY campaign, the Ready Virginia Outreach Program, sponsored by the Virginia Department of Emergency Management and other federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial and private and volunteer agencies are working to increase public activities in preparing for emergencies and to educate individuals on how to take action. And whereas emergency preparedness is the responsibility of every citizen of Grayson County, and all citizens are urged to make preparedness a priority and work together as a team to ensure that individuals, families, and communities are prepared for disaster and emergencies of any type. And whereas all citizens of Grayson County are encouraged to participate in citizen preparedness activities, are asked to review the READY campaign's website at ready.gov or listo.gov to become more prepared. Now therefore be it resolved. Mike's gone out. Now therefore be it resolved that the Grayson County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaim September 2022 as National Preparedness Month and encourage all citizens and businesses to develop their own emergency preparedness plan and work together toward creating a more prepared society. Adopted this 8th day of September 2022 in Grayson County, Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So, let's take a motion to approve the proclamation. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Anderson, second. Mr. Ivy made the motion. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Hash.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson. Aye. I'm also aye. Great, thank you. All right, surplus.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, this is just an old vehicle, public works. When they get done with them, they are approved. And this is
a 1992 International with a long motor, nothing wrong, never worked. And the VIN number ending in 6551, we'll just ask them to put that on show. So that's
So move. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, board appointment.
okay, board appointment, we have Dan Moyer, whose term expires 9/17/22, and he does wish to continue to serve. It's board pleasure. To the other one, New River Valley Regional Jail, where Mr. Shepley resigned. I was the alternate. They're asking me to become the primary since his retirement. And then also to appoint an alternate, which Supervisor Mike Cash is willing to serve. He's done this role before with the Sheriff's Department. He's willing to be the alternate. Board so chooses.
It's a pleasure, board. We'll take them all in bulk. Might be too strong a word, but anyway. Do I have a motion to approve board appointment? So move. You go first and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, county administrator's report.
I know it's getting late. I'll be brief. Just a couple of things as far as in the EMS world. There is a couple of EMT classes that are going on the west end at the Grayson Highland School by June Barnes. Has 8 people taking that class. The east end at the Yates Center, Megan Barnes is the instructor there, and she has her first class with 5 people. So that's good news, and wanted to share that with the board and the community. Another thing, the Ag and Art Tour will happen September the 10th, 9 to 5 p.m. You may have already seen some of the signs directing people, the road signs out there, and it will start at the Matthews Farm and will wind its way through Grayson County and end up in White Top. But remember that, and we hope our citizens will take advantage of that. Many of the public will come and take advantage of that, see what Grayson County has to offer in ag and art, the many artisans that we have. Another thing, the Grayson Highlands Festival will be September the 24th and 25th, 10 to 5 each day. Let's remember that now that we're post-COVID, hopefully people will get back out and go to some of these things. The last thing that I will update everyone on is the Mount Rogers School. I know there have been questions about what's going to happen there. And the contractor will be finishing up on the agreement. Matter of fact, he sent that out today, I think by FedEx. And he's still waiting on his performance and payment bonds. He should have these in hand by the middle of next week. And a pre-construction meeting has already been set for September the 14th at 1:30 p.m. The signing of documents and all of that will take place that day. So that's good news that things, I know we had some snafus and some paperwork and some miscommunication and all, but things are shaping up now to be where they need to be. In September the 14th to be a signing day. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Anything for Mr. Smith?
My part, if I want to feed on that.
Yeah, we'll change mics and I hope you all heard me.
I heard you. I heard you. Everybody else.
Okay.
So the construction's gonna start, or what we approved last meeting where they could finish the demolition, is that been completed, the demolition?
No, this is
This is the demolition.
the demolition.
And
This is signing for the contractor to be able to go to work, getting all the docks and
And like I said, the performance and payment bonds and all, he should have that by the middle of next week. And we've got a date set for the signing and all that on the 14th at 1:30.
Mr. Hash, anything?
Just one thing, I know August was Clean River Month, and the effort at the New River Wildlife Club was moved because of the unusual high waters for August to the September 10th date. So if any citizen that still wants to participate in the river cleanup, the September the 10th, they'll be doing that at the Wildlife Club. If you can, you don't have to be part of their effort. If you just have things that you want to bring that you've picked up along the river.
At the start, for the club, they're meeting there at the club on Riverside Drive to start their effort. Is that what they're, that
Yeah.
section of the river? Okay.
Yeah.
What time?
I think it was, I think at 8 o'clock, it was moved from the 27th or something like that of August because of the hot, it's usually the water is low that time of year.
Okay.
So that's this Saturday. Yeah. So hopefully, I know we've got more rain coming Saturday. It's been a bad month to try to clean the river up, but we appreciate the effort there. And thank you, Supervisor Ash, for bringing that last date out to us.
Thanks, Mr. Smith.
Thank you all.
Okay, registered speakers, public comment. Okay, just a reminder, we got 3 minutes public comment. First one up is Tracy Cummins. Please just, if you could go up there. Yeah.
I took 6 minutes last week, so I'll just take one thing. I did make a list of these are the residents on Powder Mill Road. I should have labeled it Black Hole. I didn't put a label on this. Anyway, these are the people that live on Powder Mill Road. You'll see at the top, it starts with JC and Irene Tolley. They live up near Katy Sage Road. So I started at that end and came down towards Stones Chapel Road. So that's what that shows you. Now there's a break there in between Jeannie and Ed Huffman and Roger and Judy Carpenter. Roger and Judy do not have the same line that the rest of us on that upper part of the sheet have. So these are the people that have this broken, outdated line that we have been told is broken and outdated, and CenturyLink won't fix it. I mean, nobody's wanted to fix it. So anyway, hopefully Mr. Brewer will want to fix it. I think so. So I was waiting for John to ask that question. Are you coming in to replace this line? So we know it needs to be replaced.
I didn't want to ask all the questions tonight. We need to save something for next.
But yeah, this line needs to be replaced. We've been told that unofficially. Actually, a good CenturyLink friend that I had on speed dial, because we can't get anybody, I would call him and he would come and work on it. And he's told us every time it needs to be replaced. It needs to be replaced. And Hal and I were talking about that. It's been going on for 20 years. I mean, it really, this line is dated and it's just gotten worse over the years. So it keeps getting kicked down the line to the next person who buys it. And they don't want it. They don't know that Mr. Brewer doesn't know he doesn't want this line. But anyway, brought several of my neighbors tonight, and I am trying to raise more attention, and thank you all for helping me get the attention that I've needed. I've gotten quite big attention. But good news is I've only had to drive out to the fire department once since the last meeting, and I was home with COVID. It's been 2 weeks ago, so I'm good. But I was home with COVID, stuck at home with no internet, and of course it was 9 o'clock at night. My pump starts beeping and I'm in my pajamas, I looked rough. I'm like, man, so I got in the car and I drove out to the fire department and it updated and I turned around and so only once. That's only happened once. And I'm still alive. So thank you all. Thank you all for your help.
Thanks. I would like to add, John, Ms. Carpenter did send an email concurring with her sentence.
I'm wondering as a follow-up to with Mr. Brewer, if we could draft a letter, attach this with make them formally notified that this issue has been going on for a long time, that they've been told it needs to be replaced by CenturyLink. And then it's in writing, sent to them, and yet another documentation, but with a whole bunch of people.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you would make sure we have contact.
Okay, okay.
Phone
And
number.
I've got
Mr.
it
Rebel,
right here.
I have talked to Mr. Rebels at least once a week since the last meeting too, also, so thank you. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you for
if
the
you've
work
got
you're
it,
doing.
we'll pass it.
All right.
Oh, she knows that.
Thank you for coming in.
Yes. Thank you for having
Okay, next one up, my last name, I think, is Phipps.
me. That was Robert, that was my dad, and he is past his bedtime. He said you pretty much said everything that he wanted to hear said, so he said he was going to the house.
All right, good for him. I'm glad I made him happy. That's more important.
He's pretty easily pleased,
Yeah.
though.
All right, Mike McHone, is that right?
Yes, sir.
McHone, H,
McComb.
sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Michael McComb. Address is 1715 Power Mill Road. There at Elk Creek, so I'm probably on the list that she just provided to you guys, coming from the Katy Sage side. Not to regurgitate what's already been said, you guys know how bad the lines busted up down there. When it rains, you're pretty much out, you know. But in addition, I'm also one of the folks on that list that I'm 100% disabled retired vet that's got one of the breathing machines that they can, you know, if they could actually get through to read the chips and stuff on that, it would eliminate me from having to hand carry it down to the VA station for them to do that. But I just wanted to step up and say, hey, I am one of the citizens there that's also unhappy with the service. And then also, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know Gigabeam was coming in through that area with fiber optics. And that was supposed to be all the way down in and around through that area. I mean, it was made for the people that live in rural areas is what I was understanding. And my wife, Desiree's here with me, she checked in, and it was back in January when they were doing it. And they said, based on where we were living, that we should have service around April timeframe. And I know this stuff gets kicked down the road, but now it's pretty much been eliminated. They're saying now that 6 months to a year down the road, we may qualify for some type of Wi-Fi, you know, that may work to make it better. But anyway, that's the concern I'm bringing, and didn't know if you had any input on that at all, where it's going, or if it's something you guys could push up for us and maybe make that happen.
Will do.
Cool. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for your service, Mike. Yeah, thank you.
Jeannie Ash.
Oh, yes, like a bad check, I just keep coming back.
Well, that's right. Happy
Can I say something about CenturyLink before I discuss?
Bring it on.
It's all
Bring
party-
it on.
all party free.
Not, and I won't use the S word. But, I just found this out in the last week or so. Every time my power goes out in the last 12 months, then my phone goes out within about 2 hours. And what I have learned from my neighbors who've always out chatting it up with the APCO people, that the batteries in these big phone boxes are out of date and they can't hold power. So after about 2 hours of no power, then you have no phone. So that's, you can put that on your list of complaints. Because in the past, if you have no power, at least you have your phone, if nothing else. Now I don't even have that. And the phone box is on my property. But that's what's going on because the batteries are out of date and they just can't hold a charge. So anyway, I hope somebody else has something to say. That's interesting. Anyway, I'm here because I'm extremely upset and disappointed over my road. I had a great conversation with Mr. Ivy. I appreciate everyone who had my back, and so I was just really disappointed when I got this letter from Ms. Black saying that there was concerned citizens. You know, I'm a concerned citizen. And when you have a road 10 feet from your house, that's very concerning. So I know you guys, I don't need to beat a dead horse. John's been out and saw this. So what I'm asking tonight, could you possibly
contact the highway department to see if they can move the road behind my shed, possibly in the old road bed that I showed you, John. And I do have the land, the property beside me. I have that gentleman's land plat, and I have his contact information. I do have a map of the old road, but right now my daughter has it in Richmond, and she's changing between one state park management position to another, so she's been kind of up in the air. But I would like to request the board to contact, because it's gonna have to happen sooner or later. I mean, since I was here and spoke and you voted to abandon that section of road, I saw an outbuilding actually stuck between my fence post and my building. And it took that gentleman probably 20 to 30 minutes of, apparently these trailers have a mechanism that shifts. And it took him about 20 or 30 minutes to get that building dislodged from my shed and my fence post. Now, is that not the most crazy thing, that they're bringing an outbuilding in a 12-foot space? So that's what I'm asking tonight, because, you know, I'm a concerned citizen too, and there are people behind me. This is their criminal records. Drunk driving, drug possession for several counties. And that's knowing that these people are driving 10 feet from my house, and they're continuing to drive, even though the Commonwealth have told them they're not supposed to be on the road. They're going out the other way to avoid my security camera. So could you please do that for me? Contact the highway department and ask them.
Yeah, we'll send
Because
out.
it's gonna have to happen. I mean, it's just increasing. The traffic. Last week, I saw three almost head-on collisions. Right there, sitting on my porch. I saw one yesterday. And I don't wanna have to be the one to deal with a terrible accident. And I don't want anybody else to either. So may I give you this information? Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda, too. You're a big part of this team.
Thank you. Thanks for coming again.
Thank you.
Okay, don't see any more on the public comment side. Did we miss anybody? Sure, going once, going twice. All right. Thank y'all for coming. Speaking. Given that, no one's talked to me about board supervisor time, so I think we're okay there. Before we take a motion to go into closed session, just an announcement. The board will do a special call meeting on the 29th of September at 6 p.m. For personnel. And that's just need to get that out there. That's a closed meeting as part of the hiring process for the new county administrator. Okay, with that, take a motion to enter into closed session to pursuant to. Wait for it.
Before you do that, I want to thank Linda, you guys, for this. Yeah. Very handy, and I appreciate your all's efforts. I hope you all guys like it too. Thanks. Forgot to say that.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we go into closed.
1 minute, I gotta do my part, man. I gotta read pursuant to 2.2-3711A7 for consultation and briefings by legal counsel, consultants, or staff members pertaining to actual or probable litigation or other legal matters. Having received a motion and a second, all in favor say aye. We're in closed session. Thank you, everybody.
It's good to see this.